John has lengthy passages describing Jesus and one other person. The other Gospels don't do this. Sometimes it's a whole chapter. I think part of this has to do with the fact that he's a pastor and he's interested in the brokenness of the people that Jesus is engaging with, like the woman at the well or the woman taken in adultery or Nicodemus, who, believe it or not, is a very broken man. And I also think it's a function of how old he is. Now, I'm almost 60. And if you were asked to ask me to tell you the story of my life, I would tell you about people. And John does that. Interesting. John tells the story of the life of Jesus in terms of long passages that involve single individuals that Jesus engages with at length. And only John does this. So look for that as you're reading through. Look for what I call the whispering. John's the only gospel that whispers to you. And I also think this is a function of his age. And by that I mean a parenthetical statement. And I know this is dependent on whatever translation you're using. But I actually counted them. This is what pointy-headed fundamentalists do. They go through translations and count how many parenthetical statements there are. And I think it's in the NIV. Matthew has 1. Mark has 15, but he's always translating things for people. So most of those are him translating things for you. Luke has 6. John has 59. 59 times. And he's always whispering, and he's explaining people's motivation. Jesus already had in mind what he was going to do. Or Jesus' brothers said this not because they believed in him, but, you know. So look for that if you're going to read through John tonight. But primarily, and this is the main thing I want to talk about, look for the fact that when Jesus says anything significant in John, every single time he is misunderstood. I find this absolutely fascinating. Every time he says something deeply spiritual, the very next verse indicates not that they kind of don't understand it, they way don't understand it. These verses, the significant spiritual things that Jesus says, not every time, but are often introduced with the statement, Amen, Amen. It's this strange thing that Jesus said that we do not understand. Nobody understands why he did this. And you see the misunderstanding in all the translations. King James says, verily, verily, or truly, truly. HCSB, I'm working with the Holman people on their new translation. I assure you, that's how they translate. But the words I assure you aren't there. It's simply Amen, Amen. In the synoptics, he says it once. In John, he says it twice. And there is no precedent for this anywhere in the ancient writings. Nowhere. Does someone say Amen, Amen, and then say something? We know what Amen means, right? It means I agree with you. And when someone prays, or Fred, gives a beautiful introduction to someone who's going to speak, they say, Amen. I agree with you. I agree with you. Jesus says it before he says something spiritual. And it's absolutely mysterious. And as I've worked with this HCSB people, I've campaigned for, look, we don't know what it means. Let's translate the ambiguity, right? Let's just put amen, amen in there. I think it's kind of cool that we don't really understand why, exactly why he did it. But when he says it in John, you can be sure that the response is going to be that nobody understands Jesus. He's the misunderstood Messiah.